Hello, everybody. It's Steve Baker with the Great Game of Business. Again, thrilled to be with Rob Levin again from Work Better Now. It's always fun to talk to Rob because, I get out there on the road. I'm hearing what business owners are talking about and business leaders are grumbling about. And I got to be honest, we all think we're unique, and yet we all have the same problems. So this past week, it's been really fun. Was at an employee ownership conference, got to meet a lot of really cool people of all different industries, and yet we still struggle with the same stuff. What I'm hearing, Rob, is that people are having trouble, finding good talent. They're having trouble finding people in certain areas just because they may be geographically locked in, even though we live in a virtual world. They still get stuck in that thing. I've got to find somebody in the next state over or someone in our region, that sort of thing. And you help to break my mind open and, hey, the world is available to you. I would like to have you say, so let's talk about, it's hard to find the right talent. It's hard to find the people for the right seats, right? And what about attitude? What about engagement? These sorts of things. Can you talk a little bit about how you approach those challenges?
Yeah, so let's go back to what you're hearing from your members, which is consistent. I talk with dozens of business owners a week, in addition to our clients, and we're hearing the same thing constantly, right? Which is, I can't find good people. I just simply can't find good people. Now, if we were having this conversation 3-4 years ago, then we might want to start talking about this notion of, well, you can actually have people that aren't in your town, aren't in your city, you can hire people remotely, right? Well, that we've overcome that, right? Remote's no longer an issue at all. The next step, and where our clients are having a lot of success, is hiring people from overseas, right? And in particular, our clients use us sort of like as their talent partner, because we have tapped into this unbelievable workforce in Latin America, where you have amazing English proficiency. You have similar time zones, similar cultures, people with incredible experience and amazing, not only amazing aptitude, but amazing attitudes. They
love that.
There's no quiet quitting. They love to be, not only love to be working, but for them, when they're working for a US-based company, it's usually a lot more interesting, compelling, and lucrative than working locally. So our clients are telling us that the people that they're getting, for the professionals they're getting from Work Better Now, for roles like marketing coordinator, executive assistant, because every business owner should have an assistant, project managers, sales support, you name it. There's 40 different roles. These are among the top performers that they have inside their companies.
So the ability to tap the world market is one thing. The ability to tap a market that's in, I love what you just said about similar cultures, similar time zones. This is huge. Just the whole concept that we've got people who are ready to work, want to work, and can do the work in our world. If I'm just drawing I don't know if that's longitude or what. It's sort of like in our time
North-south.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So let's go through some of these things. Different business owners that I have met, and we've talked about this before. I've been pushed so many times by clients of ours that say, well, you have to have a virtual assistant, and many of them are US based. So tell me about, let's start with, you have a great quote about assistants. Tell me about that.
I'm gonna borrow the quote from a good friend of ours, Jack Daly, which is, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. You are an assistant. And think about it from a number of different perspectives. I don't remember if we talked about this last time, but the pace of change in business is increasing at ever increasing rates. Yes. Your customers are buying differently. They have different and much higher expectations. Your employees have a higher expectations. The way you market, because the way your customers are buying has changed. So the way that you marketing has to change. And technology, of course, is driving a lot of this change, so on and so forth. How is AI going to affect my industry and my company?
Absolutely.
somebody in the company needs to be looking forward, needs to be thinking about these things, right? That person is usually the business owner. And if that business owner is spending too much time doing really administrative work, working on their own calendar, checking their own email, constantly following up to see if what the status of projects, if they're doing things like that and 50 other things, then they don't have the time to spend with customers. Just think about, how does our product or service need to change given the way the market's changing? So if they don't, if that doesn't get done, that company is going to see diminished revenues, diminished profits, cash flow, so on, and so forth. The good news is, I think more and more business owners are realizing, I need to have an assistant to take this off of my plate. And by the way, maybe not just mine as the CEO, but the other executives in my company as well. So, you know, our drive is that every business owner gets an assistant. Now, if you want one based in the US and you can find one and you can afford one, that's terrific. Just get an assistant.
Pretty big ifs.
It's a lot of ifs. When we started, it was before we started doing all of these other roles. All we did was executive assistants for business owners, because we wanted to do that. And we found just this unbelievable opportunity of incredible, talented people from Latin America with experience, great English, that can immediately come in and, hey, Rob, don't worry about this. You kind of told me what you're trying to accomplish here. I'll jump in and I'm going to make this happy. I'm going to probably come back to you with a few questions. And as I mentioned to a friend of mine just yesterday, when I hired my first assistant in 2013, who was from El Salvador, by the way, now the general manager of Work Better Now, my life changed within 2 months. Within 2 months, my business changed because I was now focused on what needed to be done. And here's another thing. I also was not doing the work that I hated doing. I mean, do you know a business owner that loves going back and forth with a client to reschedule a meeting? Forget the fact that that takes an hour or two.
Yeah.
And on top of that, my life changed. I also had more free time to spend with my family, see more concerts, which I love to do. It's a game changer. And then add on top of all of that, that the cost of living in Latin America is much lower than it is here. And because of that, the cost to hire somebody from Latin America, whether it's an executive assistant role, marketing coordinator, et cetera, is a lot lower, much lower than it is here.
Rob, tell me about the journey a little bit. If you put executive assistants at the center when you first started the business, what were the next roles out? How did that organically grow?
Yeah, Steve, I don't remember what the next roles were, but let me tell you how it happened, because, in business, when things happen organically, it's really awesome. And that's exactly what happened with us. So we started the business in 2018. Business really started to take off at the beginning of 2021. Why? Because all of a sudden, people realized they had to work remotely. So the objection of having remote people went away very quickly. Yes. And our phone and our emails were, off the hook. And we were placing more and more executive assistants. And then we started to see some clients were hiring 2, 3, 4 people. This is interesting. Let me call and see what's going on here. So I remember calling a friend of mine, Larry Zogby, RDS Delivery here in New York, logistics company. And I said, Larry, you just hired your 4th person. What's going on? He goes, Rob, I don't think you know what you have here. The assistant that I hired, I'm going to leave the names out right now, but the assistant that I hired, I didn't know, I forgot what it was. It might've been marketing. I think it was marketing. She is incredible at marketing. So I'm putting her in the marketing role, and she's going to help me train my next assistant. And then it was the marketing role. Then it was somebody for dispatch. Then it was somebody, he has somebody in Latin America. He's got a lot of drivers out there, sure, which means he's got a huge insurance bill. He has a program in place run by somebody in Latin America, a WBN professional, who's helping with driver safety. They're collecting the data, and there's all sorts of apps and stuff, and they're working with the drivers one-to-one on things that they can do that will make them a safer driver, and therefore bring down the cost of insurance. So the next evolution for him was, it's funny, the driver safety thing was something I wanted to hire for 3 or 4 years ago, but I couldn't find the right person. It was too expensive. I'm now taking these opportunities that were on the shelf, dusting them off, and then I'm hiring somebody from WBN to help me with them. And my top line is going up and my bottom line is going up.
That's cool. Freeing up that bandwidth of the rigmarole of every day. Really, the logistics of logistics was tying him down from being the strategic leader that he was.
Yes. Plus, as a business owner, you're like, wow, wouldn't it be great if I could do this? Yeah, but I don't have the resources right now to pull it off.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was taking these projects that were on the shelf for years. Now he's got people who can pull them off, and they're impacting his pocket in a very positive way.
So what I love is you've kind of removed some of the, I don't know if you call it stigma or the assumptions that we have as American entrepreneurs around, well, because an owner thinks differently, right? An employee thinks, well, they're hiring me for $25 an hour. That isn't really the cost of the person. The owner is going, oh my God, look at all the costs I've got available. It's not a $25 an hour thing or a $50 an hour. All of a sudden it becomes this huge thing. You have described for me the ROI of any one of those positions of your professionals that quickly dispel any thought of, well, what does it cost? There's just no comparison.
Well, because, and not only that, I mean, so our professionals are $2,100 a month for each full-time dedicated professional. That's all in. There's no additional taxes. There's no, there's just nothing else. There's nothing else extra other than, of course, any software licenses that you have to buy for them, just like you'd buy for anybody else, right? So yeah, like I said, it's first what we do when we built this business is we want to provide great people. By the way, it happens to be a lot less expensive. And on top of that, it's not going to take 6 weeks to hire. You're not going to have to interview, or you're not going to have to go through 300 resumes to find 10 to interview and hopefully hire one. We do all of that for you. We screen them. We put them through a very tough, very difficult screening process. Only 2% make it through. And then we hand match them based upon what you need. And you end up interviewing 3 amazing people, usually any 3 of which can fill that role. Then you get to pick, you can pick one. Sometimes our clients will pick 2 because they're
Rob, now I'm curious, would you be willing to walk me through it? I'm the owner of a small business, mid-sized business, whatever. And I'm going, I really need to, I love what you're saying. Free me up, man. First one is an assistant that I can trust. What is the process, the vetting process? What do I experience when I work with you?
So I'm not going to talk about the vetting process because you don't have to see any of that. That's like how the sausage is made, right?
Thank you.
And by the way, we have a whole recruiting department, and I know that there's like 3 different interviews for people who make it there. There's all sorts of screening, background checks. I don't even know all of the details of that. I just know that we're providing great people because a lot of clients are friends, and that's what they're telling me. As a prospective client, you would have a 15-minute consult with one of our sales consultants. They're all US based, like my partner and I. And in that 15, sometimes it goes 20 minutes, we're going to first want to understand what you're looking for. And by the way, if you're not 100% sure, we might be able to help you figure out what you're looking for. And that's the role, that's the responsibilities, that's the requirements, that's the soft skills that they might need. You want to make sure that they fit culturally as well.
Sure.
We're going to, of course, answer any questions you have because everybody always does. And we then take that information and we say, hey, Steve, thanks a lot. I'll be in touch in a few days. We're going to send that information over to the recruiting department. They are then going to, we have a pool of candidates at any time. They're going to do really one of 2 things. They're going to pull people from the pool. And if we don't have enough people from the pool, we will then go out and look for people with those particular requirements, put them through the process. If we already have the people in the pool, which is probably 7 or 8 out of 10 times, then within a week, you're now interviewing 3 candidates on a 1-hour call, 15 minutes per candidate. If you need more time, no problem. You get the resumes in advance. We're going to help you through that process. That same sales consultant will be on the call. And then more often than not, as I said, you're ready to say, that second one is the perfect person for me. And within 2-3 days, they're working for you. They're making an impact.
Yeah, love it.
We basically, we're trying to change, we're trying to make it easier for small and mid-sized businesses to get great talent. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, you're really democratizing it and making it so accessible, cost-wise. Talk to me a little bit about, again, I'm in that role, right? I'm the entrepreneur trying to figure this thing out. So you help me with an assistant and maybe, let's say, a marketing coordinator. Different talents may emerge. What about a project? And I need some talent that we know is going to be fairly short-lived. Maybe it's a few weeks or a few months or something like that. Do you ever have your virtual folks do those sorts of engagements?
We will. Our model, and there's a lot of reasons for this, for the client's benefit, is full-time dedicated people. Now that said, for an existing client, if they have a project that they need somebody temporarily, we will definitely try to accommodate them if they're an existing client.
But day to day, you're looking for that full-time person that's going to be that role, and it's so affordable. I mean, why not?
They're going to be a member of your team like everybody else.
Gotcha. And
you pay them differently.
You typically sign up for as a customer.
That's the beauty of it. There's no contracts, so it's month to month. We don't want to. Contracts make sense, sometimes, sure. But if you're not happy, we're gonna keep you on board as a client or keep you with that professional. It just doesn't make any sense to us.
You're really
and that's why our clients stick with us, and they grow with us.
I love that. Tell me a little bit about the Latin American experience, because you chose. I mean, you could have gone anywhere in the world. You mentioned your own personal experience about an assistant from, I believe you said, El Salvador. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about what Latin American folks have to offer. What is the connection there for us?
Yeah, well, I'm very biased because what I didn't tell you before is my wife was born in Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's the CEO of a fashion brand here, a worldwide fashion brand, CEO of the United States division. But that actually is a coincidence. I stumbled upon Latin American professionals because a friend of mine, this goes back 10 years ago, had 50 people working for him. I think at the time all in El Salvador. I'm sure that's changed since then. So I just got an introduction to it. I'm not going to say I was skeptical, as I saw the success my friend was having. I wasn't skeptical, but I guess you could say I was curious. And the level of professionalism, the experience, the can-do attitude, it just blew me away. It just blew me away. I'm not saying you don't have that in other parts of the world. I'm sure you do. But again, what we liked about Latin America was not only the professionalism, the experience, the attitude, the aptitude, the English. It was also the time zone alignment, the cultural similarities. It just works really well for us. There's just a lot of talented people there, and we're fortunate enough now to have this employer brand where they're coming to us because they want to work for our clients.
I love it. You made me think of, at the conference I was at this week, I heard from the former CEO of Burns and McDonnell, world-class engineering firm, big employer. And he said something that really struck me, and that was, he goes, remember, your worst hire will be with you forever. In other words, that one person is like, oh my God, they just don't get it. And they will stick around longer than anyone else.
It's not only that, Steve, and you know this, you're hearing it from everybody, from business owners. A bad hire is so detrimental to the culture of a company. That one hire could just negatively impact the company. It's funny. I know this has happened to me in different businesses where you have an employee, they might be good, but their attitude isn't great. They don't fit in with the culture. And, maybe sometimes you go, well, if I fire so-and-so, if I help them find another place for them to work, then everybody else is going to be concerned. And actually, that's not what happens. You ultimately fire somebody 6 months after you knew you should. And then everybody goes up to you after quietly and says, what took you so long? Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
And look, they might be a great fit for somebody else, but for me, culture is so important for us. We live by our values, which you can find on our site at Work Better Now. We live and die by those values. Where we just had a conversation earlier today about somebody that has great abilities, but just it wasn't actually a Work Better Now situation. It was I was in another CEO group, and somebody was saying this person's really good, but they're bringing the culture down, and they were asking us what to do, and it's an easy answer when you have the experience, you've been through it.
Yeah, it is an easy answer from the outside, very difficult inside.
It's the hardest thing I think we do.
So talk about that. Talk about the bad hire dynamic that we've just been talking about, and how you help organizations around that.
So yeah, it's a great question. So as I said, there's a multi-step process, right? So we really have first of all, we have a great employer brand. We get thousands. I think we're up to about 5,000 applications a month or so.
Wow.
And we actually have the ability to increase that when we need to. So we built this employer brand. We get all of these applications. We have this very rigorous screening process. Under 2% of people get approved to interview with our clients. We then have this consult, and we then have this hand matching process. Maybe one day AI will do that for us or help us, but right now it's a hand matching process. The client, the prospective client, then interviews some qualified hand matched clients, and then they hire and they get started. And it doesn't stop there. We will help onboard if to the extent needed. Some of our clients need help, some of them don't. We are there for coaching. Some of our clients don't have, it's their first remote employee. So we have a whole success coach department. And then, you know what? Every once in a while, there's a problem. It happens, right?
That's life.
And we have coaches there to help, first of all, help identify the problem, maybe even before the business knows about it. And then help fix the problem, whether that's, well, we gotta work with the professional, and we got to provide some additional coaching to them. Or sometimes, you know what, this is not a good fit. So what we're going to do is we're going to get you another 3 candidates for you to interview. So again, the chances of that I think are reduced greatly with us versus going to hire on your own. But then if there is a problem, we're there to support it.
When you look in the future, because that's where everybody is now, right? They're saying, will the recession be this year, next year? What's coming down the pipeline? There's economic things. And of course, then there's the talent part of things. And, to me, as a business owner, you're kind of removing a lot of that excess worry, bandwidth, mind share, however you want to describe it, by saying, okay, this is going to be not a concern anymore. I've got someone to help me with that talent pool, if you will. Are you hearing anything? Do you think that people will get pushback from regulation, from the government, or anything about international remote workers in the near future? Is that something that's in your brain?
The last thing I want to do is predict what the government might do, because I don't think they know what they're going to do next. Is it possible? I guess it's possible. I think it's going to be, being a former tax accountant, I could tell you that I can't imagine how they would do something like that. If and when that happens, we'll be ready for it. What we're focused on is how do we continually increase the value that we can provide our clients. Let me explain what that means, because we just talked about this, the management team just talked about this. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but other than our salespeople, my partner and I, our entire team, including our leadership team, is based in Latin America. And other than 1 or 2 people, they come out of the same pool that that our clients use. So looking at the future, I'll tell you, because I can't control what the government may or may not do. There's
No, of course.
nothing on the docket for them to, tax overseas workers or anything like that. I can't even imagine that happening. But like I said, I can't control that. Here's what I can control. Our clients are small and mid-sized businesses, right? So, a lot of things, a lot of technologies, they were accessible to large companies well before they were accessible to small businesses. And one of the things we want to do is we want to help expand the capabilities of our clients and of our workforce. Okay. What's an example of that? Well, everybody's talking about ChatGPT this week, and that discussion is gonna go on for a long time. Yes, and it's an incredible technology that can do so many things for small business. Everybody's talking about creating content. I actually believe analyzing data is going to be something that a lot of companies are going to be able to do. Now, so what we're doing, just as an example of how we want to expand the capabilities of our workforce and of our clients, is we're now experimenting with AI and Chat GPT. We're gonna learn it. We're gonna become really good at it, and then we're gonna train our workforce on it so that they can then take that and go into the client. So now we're not just your talent partner. We're going to provide you talent that's going to help you expand your capabilities. When you expand capabilities, your future is certainly more interesting than your present. And that is what fuels small and mid-sized businesses. So we're really excited to be doing that. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's something that's on our radar and that we're working on today.
No, I love that, because it's not just a virtual temp agency, and I'm saying that knowing that I'm trying to be provocative, right? Because that could be someone's assumption, right? But instead, you're talking about professionals, and you're looking to add value at every turn. In this case, I don't have time to learn about AI. I'm projecting again the average person that we meet in an ownership position. It's like, I got all this stuff to deal with.
Well, not only not the time, but I don't know where to start.
Where would I start? Yes, yeah. I love that.
We want to be able to help with that, and AI is just one example. I mean, we're offering courses to our workforce on Excel, and most of our people are really good, but you can take that to the next step. AI is going to be integrated with the office suites. How do you get more out of that? Somebody said to me, well, do your assistants, do they get replaced by Chat GPT? No, our assistants and our professionals, they're going to be the ones that are going to enable our clients to be proficient and to benefit from these technologies.
Exactly. And again, keeping the mind share open of top level leaders to be strategic rather than tactical. I think that's huge.
Right.
I think Excel is a good example of, I learned it because I had to use it. How many years of messing things up did it take to train me on Excel? I don't know. It's clear that COVID trained us all, everybody with my color hair, how to use Zoom, right? It's like there was a forced training involved here. This just takes it completely in a different direction. Should everyone be able to be a technician in every area? No.
As I mentioned, Steve, I used to be an accountant, right? And I went to business school, so I used Excel. I was pretty good at it. And the other day, I saw some of our team members doing things on Excel that I had no idea what to do. Now, there's a part of me that says I'd love to learn that, but then there's a part of me that goes, no, I got to look. I got to be the guy who looks at that data and figures out what we're going to do about this opportunity, about this problem. I don't have time to be looking through and figuring out the latest Excel function.
Exactly. Dude, I work at an engine remanufacturing company. I am fascinated by the things we make, but I really need to be able to say, this is where we're going in the car, not how does the car work or how can I fix it? So I love that we're giving entrepreneurs a chance to be entrepreneurs instead of technicians held, being a slave to the business rather than being the master of the business. That probably didn't sound exactly how I wanted to say it.
You work to have a life. You don't live to work.
Yeah, exactly. So we so often give up so much for again, the day-to-day, the rote stuff that we have to get done. If we can offload that to a professional who can gobble it up and probably do it faster than we ever could, we can, again, stay in that growth mode, focus on the business and creating even more jobs, wealth, value, etc.
Exactly right.
You talked about before, you talked about the who, not how. Here's a good example of the who situation. So you've got a robust vetting process. You're filtering thousands of people for me. You do matchmaking that is informed by all of your years of experience. What am I missing? Because that all sounds amazing. Is there anything else that as a business owner you would want me to know?
Well, first of all, who, not how. I want to give credit where credit's due. The amazing Dan Sullivan, strategic coach. He's got a whole book on it, and it's a short book. I recommend people reading it. Well, I think you touched upon everything. The other thing that we do is we have the success coach department that
perfect
is there to support both the professional as well as the client, and get the onboarding done, get the onboarding going well, help the client with the career progression of the professional, because we're very interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, every once in a while there's a problem, and they're there to you're not left on your own to fix it.
That's cool. And I assume all of those folks are also in Latin America, your coaches. So here's something that came up at this conference I just thought of. I presume, and this is a really big presumption, that just about everybody that is on your team is bilingual or better. So have you had any clients come to you and say, I have a bilingual workforce, or rather, I'm sorry, let me say it differently. What I actually hear a lot is I have X percent, and usually it's 60 to 70% Spanish speaking workforce. Have you ever had clients like that who use, okay, tell me about that, Rob.
Yeah, the only example I can remember off the top of my head, and there's many more than this, is that there's a law firm that's a client of ours that a large percentage of their clientele are Spanish speakers. So of course our people they're perfect for that. They're bilingual, and some know 3 or 4 languages.
That's great. I think there's a huge conversation to have there. And in fact, what I'd like to ask is, I'm back on the road Sunday, so I'll be talking to a lot more business owners. Would you be willing to come back and talk with us more, answer more questions about?
I'd love to, Steve. Our conversations, our conversations are very enjoyable, because like myself, you're speaking to a lot of business owners, and that's the world I live in. I don't know if we ever discussed this, but I used to own a media company for business owners in the New York area, magazine that was quite popular. This is the world I love. I love business owners. To me, they're the heroes of our country. They take risks even though they see them a little differently, because the risk is, I don't want to go to work for that big company and just be an employee. But they take these risks. Sometimes they put their mortgage money into the bank, and they create jobs, and it's really a big part of what this country is all about. So as I said to somebody the other day, with all the things I've done, this is the coolest thing I've ever been a part of. It's just awesome. And to have clients that are friends that thank me every time they see them, it's really powerful.
So thank you, Rob. And I totally agree. I mean, small to mid-sized businesses are the whole backbone of our economy. And as you said, they create the jobs, they create the wealth, and they can share the wealth with those who created it. You're offering us a chance to give someone like me, an ordinary guy, an opportunity to have an assistant, or to have high-level talent fast and relatively inexpensively. Is something that I might not have been able to imagine yesterday. So thank you for doing that and allowing us to elevate things and scale up at a whole different level. Rob, tell us how people can find out more.
Workbetternow.com. That's all you need to know. Go to the site, what we do there, the roles that we do, how it works. It's all right there.
That's so great. Rob Levin, thank you so much. We'll be talking to you soon. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Steve.